Today's topic, fish. What? Not just any fish, but the scariest fish in the entire world. Fish so scary that they should be in horror films. You guys keep on asking me to react to the scariest things. Stop doing that. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. But I'm a man of the people. I'm a man of my family. And I'm a man of eating pizza. When you put that all together, we react to what you guys want. All right, let's do it. All right, bro's fishing. What the heck? Is that his fishing line? Was that an electric eel? What even is that? What is that? Mamma mia. I've said this before. You know, it's actually becoming a common theme in all of my videos, it seems, of me admitting that I sit in my basement for 20 hours a day. The other 4 hours is me sleeping in my basement. And that will resume for the rest of eternity, especially when I'm seeing videos like this. What is that?
Eu gostei assim, amostradinho.
No. Fish are aliens. That shit, I just calculated it in my head, and the only thing that adds up is that fish are aliens. That looked like a clown, like a Pennywise clown underwater. Georgie. Okay, you know what, dude? I'm spooking myself out. Let's keep it moving.
So the greatest trick Hollywood ever pulled was convincing the world that sharks are the only things to fear in the water. There be monsters.
Stop showing me that.
In the last video, we talked about how sharks might just be the most misunderstood creatures in nature, with a PR team that works about as hard as a whiteout's brain after 6 rounds of CTE. They've been done so dirty, they've actually overshadowed the other ichthyological insanity spawned from Satan's septic tank.
Why am I watching this? Why am I watching this? Also, by the way, shout out to Casual Geographic. One of you guys actually commented for me to react to this guy's channel, and I watched a couple of them last night. He makes really good videos, so I highly recommend you guys go check him out. Link in the description. Anywho.
Substitute one fear for another, but I do think these fish can make a much more—
What is that? Oh my god. Growing up, I wanted to be a marine biologist. I'm so glad that I found Minecraft. I gotta be honest. Minecraft saved me. I think I might be dead. I might be dead at this point if I was actually a marine biologist. I would have been eaten by whatever the heck that thing is. There are like some lizards that can like do this with their ears or whatever. That's what this reminds me of, except 10 times scarier.
More traumatizing, nightmare-inducing horror flick than
Oh
Jaws.
my god.
And it starts right here. Those eyes belong to a pair of arapaimas, also known as a pirarucu. You've definitely seen them before. Does this video ring a bell?
I have?
No. It definitely rang his. It's one of the big—
actually, I did see that before. Bro was messing with the fish and it headbutted him and he got knocked out. That's kind of hilarious. I hope he was okay though, because if you get knocked out and fall in the water, well, let's just say that equation doesn't end well for anybody. Luckily though, there were people around him, so I'm assuming he's okay and survived.
Biggest freshwater middle fingers nature forgot to vault, usually growing to over 6 feet long and 200-something pounds.
Like
it's bad enough those are NBA point guard measurements, but the beefiest ones can get to 10 feet in length and weigh over 400 pounds.
I gotta be honest, like, that is big, don't get me wrong. It's big. It's 10 feet long, 400 pounds. If that was a human, we'd be like, holy smokes, that's Shaquille O'Neal times 2. But honestly, for like giant fish, is that really that big? Like, I'm pretty sure tunas are really big. Sharks are bigger than that. Whales are bigger than that. Like, that's not really, is it really that big? I don't feel like it's not that big in comparison to fish.
This Jurassic roid guppy usually eats other fish to go with fruits and seeds, but also birds and allegedly even monkeys sitting on branches too close to water. And if you don't—
That thing eats monkeys? We're pretty much monkeys. All humans are descendants of monkeys. That essentially means that it would eat humans. But can it though? Like, can it eat a fully grown human? It doesn't look like it's not big enough to eat a fully grown human, right? There's no way. Is it about to eat that chicken or whatever that is?
You don't believe that? It's because you haven't seen them hunt. They're explosively quick,
God,
and the aquatic
did.
black hole has been known to confuse feet for fish and violently pull people underwater. One zookeeper
Dude, it's
reportedly
so
made the mistake of trying to
quick.
retrieve a glove that had fallen into an arapaima bowl.
It's
and
so
in a split
quick.
second, got his hand, wrist, and several fingers broken.
Okay, I take back what I said. I guess it can eat humans. If it really wanted to, it could probably disassemble a human. Limb from limb. Wow. I feel like whenever I watch videos like this, I'm so disconnected from like what actually goes on in the world. Like way back in ancient civilizations. I mean, even still to this day, in some civilizations to this day, people live amongst that stuff. Like, dude, it's so crazy to me how this stuff is real and I've never experienced anything like it in my entire life. So like me watching this video, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But in my head, I go, that can never happen to me, ever. But then I also gotta realize that that stuff does happen to people. People get their hands bitten off by fish. You'll never catch that happening to me, never in a million years. Hold on, let me knock on wood. Okay. That could have been bad. I don't want to jinx myself.
There's also the fact that a refrigerator-sized fish will yeet themselves
Why
out of
are you
water
even
in
doing that?
self-defense.
Why are you
Let's
doing
talk
that?
about that.
Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why are you running? Why are you running? At that point, you're just asking for it. Like seriously, what does that do? What does that do? What does that do for you? Does it make you look cool in front of your friends? What is the coolest thing that I try to do in front of my friends that did not end up going well? The coolest thing that I try to do in front of my friends, it was actually my brothers, is I used to skateboard. And keep in mind, I was like 10 years old at this point. And I thought I would be like the man. I thought I'd be super cool if I jumped off a half pipe and stuck the landing without the skateboard. Just jumped off. That's probably like, how big's a half pipe? Let me look it up actually. I was gonna say 12 feet, but I don't want to lie. Okay, it says 11 to 22 feet. It was not 22 feet, I can promise. It was high, dude. It was at least 12 feet tall is what I would say. I jumped off and I broke 3 bones in my feet. I'm an idiot. And I thought I would be cool, and it ended up backfiring. I feel like that's what just happened to that girl. Don't do things, kids, that, moral of the story, don't try to act cool if it's dangerous.
Defense, the plus-size bite jay is covered in heavily armored scales, not only tough enough to tank piranha attacks, locals historically use them as nail files. They've also used their tongues as scrapers, since these fish have teeth growing out of a bony tongue that can be used to effectively crush struggling prey against the roof of their mouths.
Oh my
God! Nature got in its bag when it made a fish that can breathe air, and the Antichrist of the Amazon has a modified swim bladder that was repurposed as lungs, meaning this flex of a fish can survive 24 hours out of water. On one hand, that means they have to come up for air every 20 minutes or suffer the eternal shame of being a fish that finds a way to drown. But it also works out for them because in low oxygen water where most fish become slow and sluggish, the air merchant Menace can pretty much go on a killing streak. Now the question is, could an arapaima pack up a person? While there's no indication they...
I hate this thing. I know it's cool. I want to eat it. What does it taste like? Anyone else? Was anyone else thinking that, or was that just me? Like, what about if you have this thing for sushi? Haha, gotcha. All that killing and like you think you're the man. Now you're on my sushi dinner plate. Haha, gotcha. Get owned.
They see us as a snack. There are old stories of high-strung assault guppies effectively drowning people, likely by knocking them unconscious and leaving them incapacitated.
Oh my God! Someone get him.
Not him. He's fine. You can unclench guidelines. He's good.
Oh.
But one man that almost was.
Oh, he was just playing. He was just playing. He got me. Got me good. Why did no one even dive in though? Like, did everyone know he was playing, or were they just like, are they crappy people? You know? I don't know.
Was Jeremy Wade. He probably needs no introduction, but long story short, he's a zoologist who hosted the show River Monsters, which ended, but only because he caught every fish nature had to offer. But he almost caught an early life retirement after a pissed off paima struck him square in the chest and nearly caused irreversible damage to his heart. Not only did this fish nearly have us singing,
Whoa.
Suspect wasn't more than 90 pounds. Remember, the overachievers can press the scales at 400 or, 180 kilograms worth of kill a man. So yeah, the arapaima is a shack-sized, air-breathing, armor-plated predatory vacuum, and strangely enough, it's not the fish I'm most scared of in the Amazon.
So it can, I guess his head is so strong that when it like bashes you, and it hits you in the chest or in the heart, it can stop your heart, I think is what he's saying. That is just insane. Someone sign this guy to an NFL football team. Imagine underwater football with these things playing against each other. That would be epic. Epic gamer moment.
But we'll get to that. The piranha actually isn't. If you remember from an earlier video, piranhas might be just as misunderstood as sharks. They're mostly just scavenging opportunists that our childhoods convinced us were way more of an issue. You cannot say the same for their cousins found in the Congo basin of Central Africa. The Goliath tigerfish can grow to nearly 5 feet long, over 100 pounds, and they're what people were told piranhas are times 10. They're in the same order, but where piranhas are primarily a swimming cleanup crew.
Oh my God. Man, Mother Nature's scary, dude. I don't like it. I don't like it. Why do they have teeth like that, though? That's actually terrifying. And it makes me wonder, like, I feel like teeth are such a mammal attribute that they gotta be part mammal, right? Do they breathe air or water? Do they have gills? I don't know. But it's so, like, weird. Like, why don't more fish have teeth? You know what I'm saying? I guess other fish maybe don't. I guess fish who eat other fish have teeth. Is that accurate? Is that an accurate assessment there? I feel like that would make sense. But man, are they ugly. Like, is it honestly worth it? Is it worth having those teeth to eat food? I might rather starve than look like that. That is disgusting. I wonder if they know how ugly they are too, you know? That's pretty gross.
Fish actively hunt for their bodies, and you'll find out nature built this prehistoric problem to do exactly that. They have sharp dagger-like teeth that many swear are comparable to that of a great white, although I personally see them as more conical, like a crocodile, which is a coincidence since the saltwater variety are their only natural predators. But of course, the swimming expletive has also been known to murk smaller crocs. They have eerily strong eyesight
They
to
eat
track
crocodiles?
prey, special organs to detect the vibrations they make underwater, and they're strong enough to brute force their way through the turbulent waters of their hunting grounds. They're considered one of the toughest freshwater fish time left.
And they can fly? What? Bro. Nah, dude. Animals are crazy. They literally have superpowers. It's insane. Wait, that isn't way smaller than I thought it was, though. Like, in the other pictures, like, the one guy was holding it with his two hands like this. This one's really tiny. If it was one of the bigger ones, he might have just gotten his face bit off.
Left behind, and tigerfish are even on record
Oh my
snatching
God.
birds out of the air. Not just birds, but swallows. Some of the fastest and most maneuverable out there. Scientists studying them watched as 300 birds got permanently grounded by tigerfish in just over 2 weeks.
That is terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying.
Known by one name, Benga, meaning the dangerous fish. There's even a story of a young girl wearing a belt made out of bottle caps in order to ward off evil spirits. Ironically, it did the exact opposite and attracted a tigerfish who apparently confused the bottle caps for fish scales and nearly bisected the girl, allegedly. It's an extremely fast, explosive vice grip with almost zero prey prejudice.
These things are essentially, if you want to think of it this way, mini sharks that can fly and eat birds. Is there like any other water animal that eats bird? I guess some sharks eat birds, maybe? I think. Bro, I think this thing is half fish, half shark, half mammal. And I understand that makes up 3 halves, which doesn't make sense. But it does make sense when you consider that this thing has superpowers. So it's more than one. It is 1.5 species.
And I'd still rather take a bite from them than the fish up next. And that's because next is the candiru. And a lot of y'all
What is
know
that?
what
I have no idea. That is the most disgusting looking thing I've ever seen. It gives me the chills just looking at it. I feel like this is gonna be some like not bacteria. Hold on, it's coming to me. A parasite. I feel like this is gonna be some sort of parasite thing.
The candiru is a tiny parasite in the Amazon, also nicknamed the vampire fish for their habit of invading the gills of larger fish and scraping the insides to feed off their blood. And with backward-facing spines and a powerful bite, it's nearly impossible to shake it off before it completes its liquid transaction. The horror comes from the legend of candiru being attracted to the chemicals in urine and swimming up the urethra of unlucky humans and getting stuck up there.
Mommy, help. I'm never going anywhere near anywhere that thing lives. Oh my God. It literally swims up your private parts and then sucks your blood from there or something. I don't even want to think about it. I really don't. I really don't. And I'd imagine that it also lays eggs in there because a lot of the parasites, that's how they work, is they go into another organism, they start sucking its blood, and then they lay eggs in it, and then the eggs, you know, hatch inside of them, and then they burst out. It's literally the grossest thing ever. And this one in particular, where it enters, it probably doesn't get worse than this thing. That's all I gotta say about that.
Fate that takes surgery to reverse. Imagine a serrated, sentient toothpick in your
Oh my God, it's serrated
you'll see why the
too.
violation with gills is so feared. How much of this is
It's serrated, meaning it has like spikes on it. So when it comes back out, nope. You know what? Not finishing that sentence.
even real? Most of the reports of people getting penetrated by peenfish are really sus at best.
Okay, why do we have to call it peenfish? Come on. It's actually kind of funny. You got peened, bro. Oh, dude, I think I just got peened. My peen got peened. Nah, not funny.
Apparently, they're not even attracted to the ammonia in human urine in the first place. There's a good chance that the candiru controversy came from European settlers coming home from long expeditions and telling these long, exaggerated stories to anyone who'd listen for status and attention. Yeah, but basically they were probably lying for clout. You have to remember, the whole piranha skinning a cow thing spawned from locals staging an event to impress the president. The truth is, your chances of peeing in the Amazon and getting frontal probed by a fish are about as much as you getting meal prepped by a shark or getting struck by lightning. Oh, my bad. And getting struck by lightning. That being said, I'd rather get tag teamed by the pets of Poseidon and the forces of Zeus than have a bloodluster up my urethra, no Frank.
I totally agree. But this is great news. She said it might be fake anyway, and it might just be a myth. Lovely to know.
If the odds ain't zero, it's just too bad.
I can't look at it. Because all I'm thinking about it is it's swim. I can't look at it because all I can think about is it swimming up my pee-pee hole, and I don't like that at all. Nope. Nope. Next.
4. In fact, I'm so afraid of it, I actually had to break my own rule for this video.
What is that? This is number 4.
The Humboldt squid obviously isn't a fish, but it's the closest thing to a living nightmare on this list. Let's be clear, at 5 feet, about 100 pounds, there are bigger squid. What sets Humboldts apart is they can hunt in packs of over 1,000. Yeah, that's 3 zeros like a Tony Snell stat line. Nick.
Honestly, I didn't know that squids or octopi ever were in packs. Am I stupid for not knowing that? But swimming in thousands together? That might be the scary. Imagine you're swimming in the ocean. You look down and there's 1,000 of those things. 1,000 and they're all swimming together. Oh, the ocean is so scary, man. It's like a giant battle royale free-for-all is what the ocean is like. There are no rules. There are no boundaries. And it's all just one giant open area. Like, I feel like at least in the wilderness, you know, birds have the trees where they can live up there. There's other animals that burrow underground where they can live down there. In the ocean, though, it's just one giant area where thousands and thousands of different species have to assimilate. And it's just one giant war zone where they gotta eat to survive. And they do be eating each other all day long. It's insane. So scary.
Named Diablo Rojo, there are old fisherman tales of men falling overboard, getting swarmed, and never coming back up. There's also stories of them curiously approaching divers before flipping and trying to rip their masks off.
Oh my God.
Stories when marine biologist Alex Kirstich can tell you about the time several homicidal squids grabbed him and attempted to drag him down into the dark maw of the abyss. It gets worse when you realize what exactly happens when a red devil decides to take you to hell. Humboldts aren't just highly intelligent, they're covered in tiny red chromatophores that they can use to rapidly change color in order to communicate with each other. It's like Morse code but for Crip and calamari. We don't know exactly what it means, but there's a good chance if a Humboldt confronts you and starts violently flashing red, it could be telling a bunch of others you can't see that you're free eats. So likely the last thing you'll see is pulsing red before you get eaten alive. It doesn't help that satanic cephalopods are known for speed eating and are notorious for stripping fish to the bones faster than fishermen can reel them. Add a beak that can easily slice flesh and a bite force that can reportedly crack bone. And I think you see—
Was that a beak? Oh, that's right. Those things do it. Like they have beaks. It's not even really a mouth. It's like a beak. It's like almost like a bird. How it eats things. That's insane. Apparently, squids and octopuses are like insanely smart. Some say smarter than humans. I think that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous thing to even consider. But they say that they are smarter than humans. Maybe like in some ways they're smart. Like maybe they have better memory or something, but to say that they're smarter than humans is absurd to me. One thing's for sure though, is that we don't understand how a lot of fish and any animals really communicate that well. But some people theorize that there actually is like a very in-depth way that squid and whales and sharks and dolphins communicate. And it's a very like detailed form of communication that humans just don't understand.
See why I'm not exaggerating when I say I'll deal with every other fish on this list than a pack of predatory color coordinating squid. And I don't care what logic says, there's no doubt in my mind this squid would eat a human if they thought they could.
They're pretty much giant face eaters.
Only live about a year. That rapid growth in a short time means they'll rarely pass up an easy meal, even if it's their own kind. Humboldts are highly cannibalistic and they will not hesitate to turn on a weak or injured member of their own hunting party. There was a study done off the coast of Chile that found that out of over 2,000 squid, more than half held the remains of their own kind in their stomachs. It sounds to me that anything they see as weaker than them is something they can feed off, and the only saving grace for us is they usually only press things smaller than they are. But you don't even have to be—
That is just so terrifying. And you know, when he said that they travel in packs of 1,000, the only thing I could think of is that they all have to eat every single day. So as they're traveling in those giant packs, literally, I would imagine every single thing that they see, they just eat. They eat and eat and eat because there's 1,000 of them that they have to feed. So they probably leave nothing in their wake. It's just one giant wave of destruction.
Seen as food for affiliated squids to be a problem. Like a true xenophobic, they react to most things they don't understand with aggression, and they've even attacked cameras and equipment and left them out of order. But to me, the most disturbing aspect of getting assaulted by squids is, even if you escape, if you panic and surface too fast, you can get the bends and past tense anyway. That type of psychological horror is what puts the Humboldt here, and wouldn't you know, emotional damage is another symptom of finding out about the next fish. Because now we got the stonefish.
That is
not
insane.
One of, but the most venomous fish known to man. Ooh. It's armed with verrucotoxin and symptoms.
I have heard about it. I thought it was called like the kingfish, though. Or no, they're two different things. But this one, like if you step on it, you're like dead.
Of getting stung include crippling pain, shock, tissue death, and even paralysis. And speaking of pain, you can be in agony for over 12 hours, and it's enough of an eternal jihad to cause hallucinations. Anecdotally, there have been tourists who've stepped on a stonefish only to beg their doctors to chop off the whole foot. Then there's the added threat of, if you don't get out of the water quick enough, it won't even be the venom. You can get paralyzed and catch a stage fatality to drowning. Even if you survive, you can still suffer permanent nerve damage and severe muscle atrophy. But that all wouldn't even be that bad if the stonefish wasn't nature's manifestation of a dick move. The most venomous animals on the planet usually dress with bright colors to warn the rest of the population that they're packing. Stonefish decided to do exactly none of that and instead cosplays as a stone. Only to brutally punish you for its camouflage.
Bro! Dude, that is insanely good camouflage. How does that work? Like, how do they even use that as protection outside of humans, though? Because I feel like if your venomous stingers are on your back, then they would only work if something like puts pressure on you and steps on you. But if fish are all swimming around, how often is it going to be that a fish like lands on its back and like puts pressure there, you know? I feel like they're all just gonna swim over top of it. I just can't really see those, whatever you want to call them, stingers, being that effective. I don't really get it.
I said, it's like having invisibility, but also serving the death penalty every time someone steps on your foot. Then you gotta add the fact that there are another fish that can survive 24 hours out of the water, and they have a literal switchblade growing out of their forehead. Yeah, I knew they were a problem ever since one nearly perma-napped Nigel Thornberry. A stone-cloaking toxic minefield of misery, but with stonefish antivenom being the second most venomous in Australia, today if you get stung, your chances of surviving are actually pretty good. Not like the next fish, because for this one, there is no antidote. The stonefish might be the most venomous fish, but the pufferfish is arguably the most poisonous thing alive.
Okay, wait, I thought about it and I theorized that potentially the reason for fish is because when they get eaten, then they can sting the inside of the mouths of the fish that they're being eaten by, and then they get spit back out. That makes sense to me. So it's kind of like a last ditch type thing in most cases, I would imagine.
Quick rule of thumb on the difference: if it bites you and you die, it's venomous. If you bite it and you become a wuzz, it's poisonous. And few things are more poisonous than puffer tetrodotoxin,
yeah, see?
which is 12 times more of a death sentence than cyanide. Tetrodotoxin interferes with signals between nerves and muscles, causing muscle paralysis and a total shutdown. And of course, the fugu blowfish is considered a delicacy, but if the chef misses a single cut even by a little, you're instantly on the clock. You won't know that happened until your face goes numb and your lips and tongue get this weird prickling feeling.
So people are eating the most poisonous fish in the entire world? For what exactly? I'm sure you could go get a piece of salmon that tastes similar, if not better, probably. But instead you're willing to risk your life. You're putting your life in the hands of a chef and hoping that they're pretty much a surgeon at that point. You may as well just go to an ambulance, go to the hospital, and ask a surgeon to cut that fish up. But anyway, I was totally right. Ding, ding, ding. Look at me, wait again. 200 IQ. It is a self-protection mechanism for when it gets eaten, but it looked like it didn't even get out of the fish's mouth after that. Anyway, they were just stuck in there, so they probably ended up dying too. But hey, if I'm going down, you're going down with me. I guess that's their motto.
Then, you'd suddenly get a splitting headache and dizziness to go at vomiting and diarrhea as your body desperately tries to purge the poison. But it's already too late and you'd start getting paralyzed, starting with the hands and feet, but slowly spreading out. And by this point, you likely can't even call for help. Finally, it'd get harder and harder to breathe until you notice the room slowly fade to black, leading to either a coma, seizure, or just death. The permanent kind. Tetrodotoxin essentially flips a kill switch in your body, and there is no antidote. The only treatment is hooking you up to a respirator to breathe for you and praying it passes. The poison puffball is such a problem, it makes you forget they also have teeth that can bite clean through your finger. Dead. In fact, it's more than enough to violate a scorpion. And I don't even know how to describe what they do to crabs, turning crustacean into crustacean with a smile on their face. It's criminal. There's nothing funny about
I did not know they were like that.
Reports of pufferfish mutilating the genitals of men, and one case in 2008 where a Cambodian child had his coin purse sliced in half by a pufferfish. And unlike the candiru, this ain't a myth. Have your privates out by a puffer and you might just get... So that's 6 of the sinister 7.
That's the worst one. I like, of all the things in the ocean I could think of, pufferfish would not have been up there on the list, but now that I hear about the horror stories and what it's capable of, oh my God! Mrs. Puff is packing a punch! I want to know, like, the statistics of how many people die or at least get poisoned from eating pufferfish a year. Like, what's the percentage of someone actually suffering from eating pufferfish? Is it 1%? Is it 5%? Is it 10%? Is it 0.001%? Because if it is 0.001%, then maybe I'd kind of understand if it actually tastes that good. Because if someone told me that eating pizza, you have a 0.001% of having an instant heart attack and dying, I would still heavily consider eating pizza at that point. So I might understand it if the chances of actually getting poisoned by eating that is insanely low.
Before we get to the last one, we got honorable mentions. The fact that there's a fish that weaponized electricity enough to decommission a caiman and we just accept that is kind of crazy. And the thing is, it might not even be the voltage, but it's getting knocked down in shallow water that'll get you. Swordfish are one of the fastest things in the sea. They also have a built-in melee weapon equipped capable of inflicting life-altering harm. In 2015, a Hawaiian man was fatally struck in the chest while trying to catch one. Another man in Malaysia bled to death after a swordfish yeeted itself out of the water and also RNG'd him in the chest. Swordfish are also on record shanking sharks and even bleeding out sea turtles.
Bro, did you see that? Its nose, or whatever you want to call it, its sword went through an entire sea turtle, its shell. One of the hardest things, I think, in the entire animal kingdom. I'm pretty sure even sharks, when they bite on the shell, it can't even penetrate it. But that thing is so fast and so penetrable and sharp that it got through an entire sea turtle shell. That is insanely scary.
The sheep's head fish.
What is this?
But really only because of that mouth. Trypophobics be damned. The Titan triggerfish is a highly aggressive honey badger with gills capable of dishing out severe injuries with the same teeth they use for crunching coral, sea urchins,
it looks so nice though.
Crown of thorns starfish. The trigger might as well be named after their temper, and this 1.5-foot vibe check is a big reason why beginner divers never go back in the water. Speaking of big, the Goliath grouper. At 8 feet up to 800 pounds, the fish the size of a small car feels more like a leftover Jurassic prop. Lucky for us, most divers describe it as a gentle giant with the temperament of a St. Bernard. Although a St. Bernard didn't allegedly swallow an entire kid in the Florida Keys.
Oh my God, that thing is massive. What?
The last fish on this list are catfish.
Oh my God.
And yeah, that's kind of cheating.
Catfish?
There's over 3,000 species of catfish, even including the genital jihad, the candiru. Catfish are like the trash compactors of the fish family, which isn't a problem until you see just how big they can really get. And once a catfish gets big enough, there aren't a lot of things alive they won't try to eat. We've seen armadillos,
oh my God,
and even unaware seagulls get bored by a catfish.
So they really just eat anything.
In France that figured out how to stalk and hunt bathing city pigeons. Another learned to wait by cave entrances to suck up any exhausted bats that fall in. There was even a catfish nicknamed Kuno the Killer who terrorized a German lake and somehow caught and ate someone's dog. Basically, they're all the shit I've talked about pelicans being, just in fish form.
Wait, low-key, they're kind of geniuses, though, because it seems like they adapt to their surroundings and are able to ambush all different types of prey. Whoa, look at its tongue, or whatever that is. Its lips, they're like spiky. That's crazy.
The question is, if a catfish has ever eaten a live human, and it isn't even if they would, but if they could. The Wells catfish can grow to 10 feet long and cap out at 300 pounds. The Mekong catfish can also get to 10 feet, and the heaviest one ever recorded was pushing 650 pounds. If there's a catfish that could stomach a human, it should be one of these, but there's a slightly smaller catfish that was believed to be a legit man-eater. In the late 90s and early 2000s, a series of fatal attacks on people in the Gully River had people convinced there was something in the water hunting humans. In these attacks, victims were suddenly pulled underwater in front of people, only for their bodies to never be recovered. In 2007, Atal Kumar was swimming with friends when he was violently dragged underwater, and while he was never seen again, friends caught a glimpse of something that they could only describe as an elongated pig. Crocs and bull sharks were considered, but the prime suspect ended up being the goonch. at about over 6 feet.
There's no way that after all that, it's gonna be called the goonch. Really? Really?
200 pounds, the goonch is usually smaller than the whales or the makung. But it's feared that the practice of burning funeral pyres by the river led to the equal opportunists developing a taste for human flesh. And while it's a stretch to say a corpse-happy catfish could swallow an adult, it becomes a little less believable with children.
That thing kind of looks like a pirate, to be honest. I get it. It looks like a villain. Like, if I was watching Finding Nemo and a goonch popped out, I would be heavily inclined to believe that that is a villain. And probably ate a lot of children. Yeah, I could see it.
There's no solid proof of a catfish catching a person, but they for sure can off one. The biggest ones can easily overpower you, if not just knock you out and drown you. Not to mention a majority are venomous, with those spines putting both experienced fishermen and oblivious bystanders in the hospital. They also have a nasty sandpaper-like bite that can easily draw blood. But what really makes them a living horror movie is their intelligence. The ones packing up pigeons, they weren't always doing that, but they pretty much ate everything else around them and were forced to adjust. So it's anyone's guess what could happen if they gain a taste for humans.
That's what I was saying, is like they just seem so smart, and honestly, intelligence is probably the greatest superpower. If you think about it, humans, we're not like physically gifted in many ways as far as like physical combat goes. There's plenty of animals that would destroy us in a 1v1. But what puts us so far above any other animal is our brains, our noggins, although albeit not mine. Mine malfunctions. I should probably troubleshoot it at some point. But if there was like a superiorly physical animal to us that also was as smart as us, we would be screwed. We would get destroyed. No questions about it. But anyway, guys, that is it. Apparently, catfish are the most horrifying fish in the entire world. I learned a lot today. If you guys did as well, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and click right here.